Alright, what is up guys? Welcome back to another Path of Exile video. Here we are in Settlers League 3.25. This is my Earth Shaker build. Because we are shaking the earth, one-shotting bosses. It's a lot of fun. The new melee changes are fantastic. We'll go ahead and just show you the clear speed. Still in early maps. Up to level 83 now, or sorry, 84. Just hit 84 a little bit ago. First off, if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button, really appreciate it. Helps me out. We hit 1,100 subs recently, and now we are gonna go for 1,200. So really appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button. Alright, so take a look here at the build. Just kind of run around and use Leap Slam for the most part to kill trash. Occasionally, if I see like a good setup to launch off a Slam or a Fisher, I will go ahead and do that. So I am taking advantage of Immortal Call. I think it works really well with my build because I am a chieftain, and I really like the chieftain class, especially as a league starter for melee, which with this being a melee league is just phenomenal. Oops, I accidentally hit two flasks there. Did not mean to do that. So as you can see, I just kind of run around. Even this boss, watch me just decimate this boss. Yeah, one shot. Fantastic. I love doing that. It just it feels fantastic to just, I mean, just a one-shot a boss. I mean, you can't crap on a boss much more than that. Like, the disrespect is real. So yeah, I mean, what makes this build work? I'll cover that here in just a minute. But as you can see, the clear speed is pretty good. I do have quite a bit of move speed between Intimidating Cry and, like I was saying, with being the chieftain, one of the new notable passives from this patch is your war cries have infinite power, and it's just awesome. It makes some of the skills feel like, so as you can see here, with those popped, I've got 102 move speed, which is not bad. I could probably push that higher if I really were to try, but I don't think it's necessary. Let's see. But yeah, between that and if I really want to, I can spam Leap Slam to cover a little bit more ground, you know, more quickly. But all in all, you know, I can clear these maps in just a matter of minutes. Even a little faster, probably if I wasn't doing it while recording and talking at the same time. Not really sure what a Carnage Pillar is. But yeah, so that is the map. I mean, check the timestamp down there if you want to see how. Let's see. So roughly about 4 minutes, give or take. I mean, I'd say that's fairly average. I'm clearing the maps between like 3 to 5 minutes, just depending on how open of an area of it is. This one's a fairly open map, so the clear time is a little bit quicker. On some of the more maze-like dungeon maps, the clear time is a little bit slower, just because, you know, you can't leap slam through walls and you can't run through walls, so you do have to kind of account for that. And if you path yourself, you know, going around the perimeter, usually you can do a circle, and that'll increase your clear time, clear speed. But you know, if you make a wrong turn somewhere, hit a dead end, it does slow you down just a little bit. But you know, the move speed, the damage, the survivability. I mean, my health isn't that high, but so you know, I can pop this, get 4 endurance charges basically every 4 seconds. So I can do that, and then I've got, you know, a 3-second immortal call, which is more than enough time for me to, you know, destroy everything on the screen. And then that has a 3-second cooldown. So every 3 seconds, I'm basically invincible for 3 seconds. You know, unless it's chaos damage being the only exception. We'll go ahead and look at the stats real quick. So defensively, these are the stats. I'm going to have, you know, that's going to get improved. I could improve it right now if I wanted to craft chaos resistance onto the gloves and the chest piece. I'm just kind of waiting at the moment. So first off, we'll take a look at kind of what the passive tree looks like here, and just starting with the chieftain. So this is what I would recommend you get first. So this is a huge new change to the chieftain, and is really good. Chieftain, just this to me makes the class more or less. These 2 skills make the class awesome. And then these 2 here are just very budget friendly, especially for a league starter. It makes gearing easier, and then what it also does is it opens up, you know, you don't have the gear pressure. Like, I don't need to find dual resist or tri resist armor. I can basically just stack fire resistance on everything. And you know, that only takes 1 suffix. So like these rings with 44 fire resistance, that's giving me 22. It's basically 44 fire, 22 lightning and cold. And same thing here, 41 fire and, you know, 20 lightning and cold on top of that. So any item you see where I have fire resistance on it is also giving me half of that to lightning and cold. So it makes gearing your character to get your max resists very easy. One thing that you have to also take into account is, so all resists does not, you don't get 15 all resists and then another like 7 to cold and lightning. It's just 15 to all resists. So looking at the passive tree here, I'll post the path of building on the video as well, but the main things that are just really important, so this is really good, this is really good. I talked about this in the last video, but just these 4 points here, basically you get 40% more damage, and with this synergizing with this, every war cry gives you 5 power, so really easy to maintain your maximum rage. And I'm not really sure, you know, I may pump a few more points into life nodes. The next thing I'm planning on getting is this, just to give me, you know, more immortal call, because I think that's really where the majority of my survivability is going to come from. Not stacking life, not stacking regeneration or anything. I do have Fortify on my Leap Slam, so basically between Fortify and the Endurance charges and Immortal Call, that is where my survivability comes from. I do have Blood Magic. I also have Resolute Technique and Unwavering Stance. I've picked these nodes up here because once I get this, it's going to give me my other resists will match the fire resistance. And then I'm also planning on picking these up. What I'm planning on doing is once I craft, you know, probably once I do Eternal Lab and I pick these up here, I'm going to spec out of these and then spec into this. And, you know, I won't need these 2 points here anymore. So I could do it now if I wanted to. I just prefer to farm the maps, and we'll do that later on down the road because it's, you know, not really necessary right now, and I'm not sure exactly what I want to spec. Like if I could get right now, I would have to craft lightning and chaos resistance onto these. I would prefer to do fire and chaos resistance, but I haven't found that veiled. I haven't got that unlocked yet. So the main things of this build is that it has 100% bleed chance. The bleed chance is huge because it is a very slow attacking build, but it's really nice because everything synergizes as far as the damage goes. Like everything gives you more damage with hits and ailments, so the bleed is significant. And if I don't, like, let's say I hit something for 90% of its health instead of 100%, I don't have to wait for that next attack to land to finish it off. It's gonna bleed out within a second or so. So I can really just hit it once and move on, and then it will die. So that's really nice. I, you know, took basically everything I needed to get the 100% bleed chance. A couple of really good masteries that I've also picked up is I have a ton of just stun. Like if I don't one-shot something, it gets stunned for a very long time. And Leap Slam, if you don't know, has a guaranteed stun on anything at full health. So I can Leap Slam onto a boss or any monster for that matter and guaranteed stun it. And that stun can last a long time. It definitely lasts long enough for me to unleash this attack. And typically that's all I need is that one attack so far. Very few enemies can survive a couple hits from this when it's fully boosted from my exerted attacks and my war cries. Especially if every third hit is a cruel hit. If it's a cruel hit and it's fully exerted, whatever I'm hitting is pretty much done for. It's not going to survive pretty much. If it does, it's going to bleed out almost instantly. So I do have 30% chance to ignore physical reduction here, plus another 50% here, so 80% chance to ignore. I picked this up for the 10% more max physical damage. I mean, that's a huge modifier for 1 point. I also picked up attacks with two-handed weapons deal 60% increased damage with hits and ailments. The 10 reduced attack speed was almost negligible. I went from a 0.81 attack time to a 0.85, and on this I went from a 0.71 to a 0.75. So that 60% increased damage for the hits was well worth that that 4/10 of a second being added to the attack time. So that's one thing you have to remember, is reduced is not less. Like 10% less is significant. 10% reduced is fairly negligible. Like basically this 10% attack speed increase and this 10% reduction cancels each other out. So what you end up with is basically 100% increased, or sorry, 85% increased damage with hits and ailments between those two points. So that is very significant. And then everything else basically is either two-handed damage, attack speed, or mace damage. Up here, I've got, you know, a little bit of life leech on these two nodes. I had thought about picking these up, but at this point I think it's too much of an investment, and the life leech isn't playing as significant of a role as I had originally thought that it would, just with the substantial stuns that I do. I don't really take much damage, and I can, you know, Immortal Call, and just having a little bit of life leech plus the heal from Immortal Call is more than enough. Or sorry, the heal from Enduring Cry and Immortal Call is more than enough to keep me alive. So, taking a look at the gear here. So basically, leveling this build, I just used a Geoffrey's hammer until I could use the Tidebreaker, and now I'm using the Tidebreaker. Next up, I will probably upgrade it to a 6th link Marohi Urki, and then I'll look to get like a highly rolled rare mace with a higher attack speed than the Urki. Like, you can find some, I was looking, they're just fairly expensive. Not quite as high of a base damage as the Marohi Urki. Like, you can get some up to like an 8 or so, 850, 800, 850 max damage, and the Marohi Urki is like 1,000 plus. But it's pretty close, and the attack speed is like almost double, which, you know, I think I would prefer to have that higher attack speed. Just because it makes it a little bit safer, and it feels a little bit better. Like, when you have an over 1 second attack time, it doesn't feel good. You can it leads to a lot of unnecessary deaths. You know, I've played a build previously where I had basically a 1 second attack time, and it was almost a little bit too slow. So looking at the gear, we've got the Tidebreaker here, just a rare helmet I found with life and chaos resistance, and a 4-link. This is the next piece of gear I'll look to replace, this Carnage Heart Amulet, but phenomenal leveling item. Pick this up at level 20, and you will not have to replace it until you get to maps. And you can continue to use it in maps as well, as I'm still using it currently. But I do want to get an amulet with probably flat physical damage on it, life. I need all attributes, and probably like a really high fire resist roll would be better for me. Maybe chaos if possible. I mean, you know, I want to get a really good amulet, needless to say. Life leech 2 if I can. I'll just have to kind of see what I can do, because I am kind of on a budget. I've spent all in all probably around 100 to 150 chaos so far on this character. Bought this relatively cheap. I think I paid 40 chaos for this 6-link chest piece, so not bad for what it is, and I can still craft onto it. These rings are pretty solid. You know, they could have like double the life roll, but aside from that, they've got, you know, tier 1 physical attack flat damage rolls and high fire resistance, which is really good for the chieftain. These gloves, not quite best in slot, but, you know, it would be fairly difficult to find an upgrade for these. It's got, I believe, a tier 1 flat damage physical roll. Let's see. Yeah, tier 1 attack speed and flat physical damage, plus over 100 life from the life mod and the strength mod. Meganords, I think, is probably going to be your go-to for the belt, and this actually dropped for me just because the flat physical damage and the big increase to your life. These boots, I just kind of got them as a budget item, but very solid for my build. 30 move speed, massive life roll, 25 fire resist. I get nothing from the evasion, but, you know, still 300 armor isn't bad at all. And it just happened to have like a decent implicit mod that was added to it. as well as the crafted mod. So that is currently the gear at the moment. And as far as the links go, so I've got 2 Fist of War, so I've got a 7 link on the chest piece. I guess we'll take a look at you know, just the main attack. So I'll try and show you how far this goes. I can't tell if it hit so yeah, I mean, I can off-screen stuff with this, and the AoE gets a little bit bigger if I've stunned something recently. So that is my Sunder. I was planning on initially using the Earthquake of, you know, the Transfigured Earthquake. I forget what it's called now, but it's like 40 Chaos right now. And, well, it was 2 Chaos on, like, day 1 or day 2 of the league. And then the next day I logged in, it was 40 Chaos. And so I just haven't spent that investment. And I'm kind of thinking at this point, maybe it's not worth it, and Sunder's the way to go. I'm going to have to do a little bit more research into how exactly it synergizes with some of the other skills that I have on here, because I'm starting to think that the way that this might work is that it okay, somebody wants to buy this. I'm starting to think that it might synergize with let's see, where is the swords? Sorry guys. 1 second. Gotta get that chaos. So, anyways, I'm starting to think that the Sunder may synergize with Shockwave support in a way that, you know, I was not fully aware, but it just sometimes the damage that it seems like I do is kind of shocking. And I'm trying to figure out if the shockwaves from Sunder also triggers the shockwave support. But anyways, this is a setup. Sunder, Shockwave, Maim, Overexertion, Melee Physical Damage, and Ruthless. I could possibly change this up. I added the Maim. I used to have Maim support with Leap Slam, but then when I added the second Fist of War setup here, I got the 6 link at the same time, and so I shifted that over here just for the time being. Over here I've got Leap Slam, Fortify, Faster Attacks, and Fist of War. We've got up here Urgent Orders with Enduring, Seismic, and Intimidating Cry. I've also got Infernal Cry. We have an Immortal Call with a more duration. And then I've just still got this Steel Skin up and leveling. And then Eternal Blessing with Pride. And currently that is the gym setup. I can't really think of anything else to add with the Immortal Call, because I don't really like it with cast when damage taken. Because sometimes you still get one shot, like with that setup. And I don't really know if there's anything else that's like worth or useful to put with the Immortal Call. So, you know, I could put possibly like some of the other gems, like, you know, because I think it would increase the duration of some of the shouts, like buffs. So possibly, like, could put it down there, just like maybe this, to get a longer like duration on the move speed. And I don't think I would, you know, I mean, it goes from 4 to 6 seconds. That's actually, you know, now that I'm thinking that out loud, like through, might be worth it for me to pick up like another Urgent Orders, just to add down here with like a more duration for at least, you know, some of these, because the quality gives you more Warcry speed anyways. So like Intimidating Cry goes from a 0.28 second use time to a 0.37. So, you know, I mean, it is, you know, much faster, but it's still, you know, we're only talking like fractions of a second, so it's hard to really say. But anyways, back to some of the skill setup here. So just to touch on unwavering stance, with the wind-up time, you basically have to take this, because if you get stunned during an attack, you're screwed. This is just because I don't like having to get accuracy. And I don't really care about critical strikes. I don't think it's needed for this build, because missing with a slow attack speed is just like gonna ruin your day. And I don't think we have the points to really spec into enough accuracy to make critical strikes worth it for this character. Not without significant changes to the build. And then we've also got the aggravate bleeding, and then we've got a pride gem here as well. So we're running pride with generosity, and so all in all, like that amps up your bleed damage, it amps up your hit damage, because majority of what we're doing is physical, and then with it just everything running off life, you don't have to build, you know, worry anything about mana or mana sustain. So just the build feels fantastic. It's running very well so far, and I'm having a ton of fun. I think it's only gonna continue to get better as I get a few more items, and especially once I pick up like this here and this here, I should be fairly difficult to kill, as long as I'm able to, you know, time my immortal calls, which, you know, so far I have been. Really right now the main things that cause me to die is if I get frozen. So I may need to look into, like, I'm almost thinking about getting this, just to, you know, once I capture some of the enemies, to get these extra buffs. Like, I may almost switch to this just to avoid being frozen and the reduced effective chill, because that seems like it's going to be more substantial than probably any of this other stuff, aside from possibly the chaos resistance to damage over time. But even that, like, I mean, basically that's poison, and I can remove poison just from popping a war cry, so that's not really a big deal. I did pick up here, corrupted blood cannot be inflicted on you, just because corrupted blood is a problem. And it's just much easier to be completely immune to it for 1 point. I think it's worth it. The other thing I've thought about picking up is, you know, probably for like yellow and red maps, possibly your elemental resistances can't be lowered by curses, just so I don't have to like worry about, you know, like this resist here. If I get cursed, I'm gonna probably have like 30 or 40% lightning resistance. That would be bad, and it would make running cursed maps more difficult. Right now, if I run in really reflect maps are a bit of a problem. I have to basically like take Infernal Cry off, because just out of habit, if I hit Infernal Cry, you can see how much fire damage that gives me, and I'll one-shot myself just from the fire damage there. I haven't run into a physical reflect map yet, but I'm, you know, positive I won't be able to do it without getting some kind of reflect setup, which, you know, I mean, there's this, but then you still gotta, you can use the Soul of Yugal, but then you gotta come up with another like 50 reflect reduction, I guess. Reduced reflected damage. I'm not sure, you know, I can't remember if there's one for, I know there's one for, yeah, here there's the elemental one, and then I think on the physical mastery there's one for physical damage. The only problem is that to pick that up, this is the only other node I could spec into, and that's going to be too many points. Like if I wanted to, I could spec out of physical, max physical damage and spec into the reduced physical reflect damage taken, and then I could run reflect maps. And with this league, with being able to spend gold for respecking, I mean, I guess I could just save up a bunch of reflected maps, like respec once, run a whole bunch of reflect maps, and then respec again if I wanted to. It's just kind of annoying to have to do stuff like that. Like, I wish there was just another way. Or, like, there's only 2 physical mastery nodes near me that I can pick up between this one and this one, and I really like the 10% more max physical damage. Just feels really good. So that's kind of where the build is at right now, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. This video went a little bit longer than I was intending it to, but just wanted to kind of give my thoughts on where the build is currently at and what my plans are for the last few points. So I'm not probably gonna really worry about jewel sockets for this build, because to me it's a league starter build, and so that means it's more of like a budget build. I would have to do quite a bit of respecking if I were going to try. Like, I could maybe, with the remaining points I have, like the last 16 points, 15, 16, like I could maybe do something with some jewels, but we'll have to see. I'll have to look. So yeah, the next thing I'm going to do is probably switch out my amulet and then anoint an amulet, anoint something. I'll just have to look and see, like, you know, what I'm wanting to anoint that's going to be most beneficial for the build. So, you know, thanks again, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And remember to give them the D.